The next stage for the trays is to cut out the handhold for the actual trays themselves. And as you can see here, we've made up a template, and what we've done here is that found the center of the board, we've measured down the required distance that we need to put the handhold, and as you can see here, we've just basically marked that out, and the next stage is to actually cut that out. So what we're doing here is actually just putting a pilot hole through. Now what we'll do now is move that over to the scroll saw, and then we'll set that up, and then we'll be able to cut this out. So we're now set up on the scroll saw, and as you can see we've got the blade put through the pilot hole, and we've kind of started to cut here. So it's just a matter now of just following that through, and then following the outline of the trace that we put on there. And then after we've done that, we'll go through the next process, which would be kind of sanding it down. Alright, so the next part that we're going to do now is to just clean up the handholds here, and what we're going to use to do that is a Dremel. And as you can see here, we've just got a sanding disc on it, drum on there, and we're just going to go around, give that a good sanding. I tend to flip it over and then go the other way as well, just so you kind of keep it even. And once we've done that, that'll just smooth all that up. The part that we do after that is just go around the edges with some sandpaper and just round off the edges so it doesn't cut into the hand. The next stage we're up to is actually gluing the frame of the trays up. So as you can see here, we've just laid them out as to how they're going together, and what we'll be doing here is putting glue on all the dovetail areas on both edges, and we'll do that all the way around. Once we've got that on, then we'll actually be putting them together. So what we're doing now is just putting on one of the last trays together. As you can see, we've got to line it up and then press the dovetail joints down, and again line it up this side, and then press the dovetail joints down. And now what we've got to do is just wipe all the glue off there, and then we'll be tapping that down. I'll show you that in a minute. So we've wiped all the glue off, and now I'll just go around and just tap down the edges, make sure that they're firm down. So once we've got all that tapped down and we've wiped the glue off again, so what we do is just go around with a square, and we check all four sides just to see how out of alignment. As you can see there, that's a fair way out of alignment. And then we've got to bring that back into shape. As you can see there, again, it's a fair way out of alignment. So what we've done is we've gone around each of the corners just to make sure that the square is sitting relatively square, and as you can see there, we've got it pretty good as far as the squareness on all corners go. So once we get to that stage, then we can just let it be like that, let it dry, and then it should hold position. So the next part we're doing is cutting out the bases for the trays. Now we've got the square trays and we've got the angled trays, so there are two different sizes. So the first ones we're going to cut out are the square trays. We just set the saw up with reference to the first cuts that we're going to run through, and then we'll be turning that around, readjusting, and then doing the second cuts. So as you can see here, we've cut our boards to 400 wide. Now we've Now what we're doing is cutting the next size, which is 300 for these particular trays. So what we're doing now is we're setting up for the second set of trays. Now these are narrower in the base than the first set, so we've adjusted the saw table to the correct size, and we're just going to cut these ones up now. So as you can see here, we've got a base cut out. This is for the angle trays, and it made it just slightly bigger, about a mil bigger all round, and that'll allow for any adjustments that we have to make, which will fix down onto the base of the tray, and there it is. So what we're doing now is we're just putting the bases onto the trays, and what we're doing there is just lining up to the edge and just leaving a slight gap. So we'll adjust it so we've just got a little bit of edge on two surfaces. So we're going to use this one and this one, and then once we've got that done, we'll be just putting a line around, and then that line will be a reference mark, because we've got to drill some holes in to put our nail holes in. So as you can see here, we've basically marked out the base of the tray, and then we've come in 5 mil from our scribe line or our pencil line, and we put right marks along that line, and that's where we'll be drilling to put the nail holes through. And what we have here is a attachment that you can put onto a bench drill, especially when you're using very fine drill bits. So this drill bit here is 0.9 of a mil. The brads, or the small nails that we're using, are 1 mil, so this is cutting just a bit under the size. And what this allows to do is just to spin. I don't need to operate this area here. I can just bring it down as it's spinning, and that way you got very good control with very fine drills. So as you can see here, the holes have been drilled, and what we're going to do now is just glue up the bottom edge, of the tray, and then we're going to align that with our marks. And once we've got that done, then we can start putting the brad nails in. So as you can see here, the nails that we're using are quite small. The length of them are only 15 mil, and the diameter is 1 mil, and it can be quite difficult to get these to go in and line up properly. So the pre-drilling helps the nail to go in straight, and I tend to use a pair of long nose pliers, start the nail off, and that way you get a nice easy fit.